Hello, I'm Paul Roberts. This is Conscious Counseling 101. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do to work at counteracting your depression. What can you do on your own? Now, depression is something that we all experience occasionally. We have a few downs, something to look at that we're a little bit concerned about. We would have liked to have had it gone a different way. But depression is something that if it gets bigger than that and it starts to consume you, you really need to get on top of getting some help to deal with it, or help finding ways that you can learn to deal with it better than what you're doing. And so some of the things I'd like to talk about today are suggestions of what you can do. All right, now you've probably heard some of these things, like try to look at the positive things in your life. If you're really deeply depressed, things like that don't work. But consider this: you're here, you're healthy, hopefully, you can think, you have the ability to change. You have the ability to alter your environment and the way you think and the way you do things. And as long as you have that ability, you have hope. So I'm not going to just say something like generic, like be happy you're alive. But consider that every day that you are alive, you don't have to have it be like the day previous. Every day could be a new type of experience. Let me tell you some of the things that you could do starting today. Number one, it's a really important one. Whatever you do today, make sure it's really, really exponentially different than what you have been doing. Now, I don't want you to just throw a dart at a target and say, well, let's see. I did this yesterday. If I'll just arrange all the different things I could do, and wherever the dart hits, it's got to be better and different than what it was yesterday. It may be different, yes, but not better. I want you to use a calculated method of coming up with something that you can do today that's different than what you did yesterday. A calculated method. In order to do that, what you have to do is you have to analyze, well, what am I doing today? What kinds of things am I doing? You have to look at them closely and define them and explain them and analyze them to yourself so that you can understand what they are. Once you've done this, you're going to make a calculated effort to do different things tomorrow that do not fall under the same guidelines or definitions or patterns of behavior or environmental circumstances that you've exposed yourself to yesterday. Tomorrow, you're going to try something different. Once you have, now I know you can't change where you work right off the bat. You can't change where you live. You can change a lot of things though. I'm talking about the things you can change. So once you've changed some of these things, okay, maybe change the direction that you drive to work. Maybe change the method you use to get to work. Maybe change the things that you do in your spare time. Maybe change the shows that you watch on television. Maybe don't watch television. Maybe don't go to the places you're familiar with and that you frequent. Maybe do something that would be out of your character. Try something that you've never tried. Do something that is helpful to another person. Go outside and instead of looking at what you're going to do, look around you and say, let's look at this situation in a different way than I normally would look at it. What would be my normal way that I would look at this situation? And how would I normally react? Think about that first. Take a lot of time to think about it before your action. Now, instead of, once you understand what that reaction that you normally would have been is, instead of doing that reaction, whatever it is, think about something that's not necessarily an opposite reaction, but a completely different reaction. Think about what your normal reaction would have been and what that would have made you feel like, and how that would have continued your circumstances the way that it normally does. And what don't you like about that feeling? What don't you like about that perpetuation of those circumstances? Try to make yourself a list that you can understand, at least to yourself. Now, when you're deciding what your other reaction is going to be to what you're going to do, think of what types of things that you would like that to bring to you. Think about how you don't want these things that what you were doing was bringing, but you want something different. And tailor your reaction to your circumstances and whatever it is that you're going to do in your environment that's going to be different than what you don't normally do. Tailor it to being designed in a way that you think you have the most likelihood to achieve results similar to those that you'd like to. Okay, that's one activity. Make sure that when you're doing this, you're in a different environment than you used to be. If you can't be in a different environment, and you must go or do what you have to do, you can still do what I'm suggesting in that environment by perceiving it in an entirely different way and operating with it in an entirely different way. Pretend that you're not you. Pretend that you're somebody else operating in a different manner. Allow yourself this freedom to say it's just an experiment. I can go back to being what I was anytime I want. But for right now, just to entertain and amuse myself, I'm going to be somebody that I'm not. Maybe it's not even somebody you want to be. Maybe it's somebody you don't want to be. Maybe you're going to be an actor. You're going to step into a circle of influence and people. And you're going to act in a way that's not you. Maybe it's more positive. Maybe it's more negative. Whatever. Give yourself the permission to do it. Go into that circumstance and be that new person. Be that new actor. Go into this as a learning environment and learn what reactions you get from the people that you're relating with. Take that you've learned and analyze it. Only you know that that's not you, but you're noticing what the new reactions are that you're getting. Take that, and once you've walked away and you've departed for the day, take that and analyze that. Compare it and juxtaposition it to what you would have gotten if you had related to those people in that circumstance in the way that you used to. And compare and contrast the differences. Were any of them positive ones that you would have liked to have worked on more? Did some of it backfire in your face? Use the positive circumstances to create another environment and another circumstance for you today that will further continue the experiment that you're doing, that will focus more and more on what you were doing that you liked. Try to not think about the bad things and work towards the positive things. Continue to do this. Now, there's a movie called Groundhog Day. I'm sure you're aware of that one. And this is what he did in that movie, and we can all observe it. We can see everything that he did that was a negative thing and how he tried to benefit from the negative things. But then we can see how he started to do the positive things and how he could benefit from the positive things. This is exactly what I'm talking about. There are so many things that we do every single day, whether we really want to or not, or realize it or not, that are producing negative effects that we don't like. So we're allowing our own personalities and our own reactions and our own way of being to bring these things to us. As long as we stay the way we are, we're authorizing fate or choice or whatever you want to call it to continue to treat us the way that we have allowed them to treat us and set ourselves up to be treated. So we're going to go and we're going to do experiments that will change who we are and how we react and how we present ourselves and what type of things we set up for ourselves to deal with. And we're going to keep experimenting in ways that will help us to achieve different results. There is no failure. If you label something as a failure, you use it as a tool for your success. Just like Thomas Edison said, I did not fail. I successfully found 1,000 ways to not invent a light bulb. And that helped me to invent the light bulb. You can take that same approach in your life. When you go out there, you can say, woe is me, I can't do anything, I'm so depressed, I wish somebody would give me a gift and take this and lift it away from me. You know, there probably are life circumstances where things can happen to you and they can turn your direction, and that type of thing could actually happen outside of yourself, and you could be a victim of circumstance and be benefited and bolstered by what happens. It could happen. But why hope for that? Why wait for that? The power to do that is within your own hands. You're your own scientific experiment. You're your own research analysis project. You just simply have to take control of it. Understand the limitless potential and create little fantasy experiments in the real world that actually do something. They're going to enlighten you. If you can set up a goal for yourself, you can become a better person or a happier person by doing this. Now, if you're the kind of person that says, I can't be happy because this world's so miserable, and even if I was happy, I would be constantly reminded how everybody else is miserable, and that would make me miserable. I submit to you that you can still do what I'm suggesting if this is your scenario. Because what you'll be working on now is not just someone else's perception of you and how that bounces back to you, but what you'll be working on is your own scientific experiment of recreating your very perspective that you live with. You can literally spend scientific experiments trying to reposition your perspective. And I don't mean just by taking from this idea or that idea and making a different way that you think. I mean by literally wishing it, by literally taking it upon yourself to say, I'm going to figure out who I am and why I see things the way they are, and analyze if there's any way I can change the way I see things. Is there any other possible way that I could see the things? Am I going to accept at face value what I see, that that's just the way it is, and there's nothing I can do to change it, and no worldly results will ever change it, and I just have to sit here and be depressed by it, and every time I look at it, I'm depressed more and more and more? Am I going to accept that as the ultimate outcome of what I'm capable of? If your depression is putting you in a state like this, I say to you that what you need to do is develop and formulate perspectives and scientific experiments that you can perform for yourself that will allow you to give yourself permission to view things in a different way. In the long term, it may be possible that when you do view things in a different way, you can actually change the things around you. It may be possible that if you improve yourself and your outlook, that some of that flows out from you and literally starts to, in small ways, of course, at first, but literally starts to change your environment and eventually even your world, if enough people did this. Allow yourself the confidence to have faith that that could happen. Allow yourself to become molded into something that you would prefer and pretend to be it and view the world like it for a while. Find a way, without using artificial things such as drugs and alcohol, to influence the way that you look at something. Allow yourself to be your own puppet for a period of time. And allow yourself to go places that you wouldn't have gone on your own if something else wasn't controlling you. Analyze the results. Repeat the process. Analyze and repeat. Analyze and repeat. And I'll have more for you, but this is a start. Think about these things. Challenge yourself. I'll be in touch.